Okay, we're going to go ahead and assemble the lower main bearing assembly, and we're going to put the main structure for the 1020 linear rails as well as the end caps for the table, and you'll see a lot of production on the assembly of the machine during this step. We're going to be using for this part 8 1/2-inch quarter 20 bolts and 8 1-inch quarter 20 bolts. We've got our two 1020 rails. These guys are 28 inches in length. The sub-assemblies on the main carriages, which we already put together in a previous step. And we're going to use one of the interlocking cover plates, which is the large plate, to put these guys. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take these guys and put them so that the bottom edge is facing up, so that this hole is towards the bottom where it's shifted. Same thing with this side. Perfect. We're then going to go ahead and put the bottom plate here, and we're going to use our 1/2-inch screws to go ahead and put this guy together. So just hand tight these guys, just get them started. You might need to loosen these guys and reach in and get them positioned so they fit exact. There we go. Perfect. Just loosen him up, straighten him up. For the sake of saving time, I'm going to pause here. I'm going to finish this and I'll come back with you. Okay, so we have all 8 bolts installed, and we loosened up each one of these guys and get the whole thing tightened up. Which point in time now we can turn this guy over, and this assembly is ready to have the main rails installed. And the easiest way to do this, set this guy sideways, take one of your rails, and do it on this guy so we can see here. You're going to set it in here, give him a little wiggle, and just push him through. Same thing on this one, give him a little wiggle, push him through. This guy, insert him here, just give him a wiggle top to bottom, and they'll just push right on through for you. At this point in time, this guy should be moving with no problems, back and forth. Alright, now comes the installation of the end plate. So what we're going to do, so we can grab one of our end plates. Now these guys are set up so they have a recess on one side. This is where the bearing is going to go. This reset goes towards the outside of the machine. So this guy sets here, and 1, 2, 3, 4 holes will pick up the main rails of the whole structure. So we could take our quarter 20 1-inch bolts, slide him through, and you could start him by hand. Same thing on the second guy. Come over here, you'll be able to start him. We'll start him, and we're going to cheat by taking the drill and sending these guys home. You're going to want to make sure that your clutch is set. There we go. Okay, that's the installation of one of the end plates. Slide this guy all around. Set him on the table. Other end plate again, installed the same exact way. Do it with the recessed cup on the outside. Insert your bolt. ahead, send it in. At this point in time, you'll see the footprint of the machine really starting to come together, and this main carriage is going to slide for you back and forth very nicely. Now, don't worry about the play that's going on here. When we get done, we're going to put, the next step of this is to put the sides on. That's going to lock this up, and then we'll put the top on, and then that will ensure that this main carriage will not rock or parallel this way or this way on the rails. Everything will be one main unit and move back and forth nice and easily. Okay, now that we have the main carriage mounted to the 1020 structure, the end plates are on, we're going to go ahead and attach the side plates of the router. For this step, we're going to be using 8 1/4 1-inch bolts and 8 1/4 T-nuts. I went ahead and on the end plate already installed the 1/4 bolts with the T-nuts on the back. The easiest part of this is just line these guys up so that the T-nuts are straight up and down with this plate. And what we're going to do is bring it over to the edge of the main bearing assembly, line these guys up, and a little finesse, this whole assembly, we'll just go ahead and drop right in. So you can let him drop so that these bottom T-nuts sit flush with this cover plate that we installed on the bottom. For now, we can just gently go ahead and tighten this up, and this will temporarily put this in place so that now this whole thing is one piece. We're going to repeat this process on the other side, and then we can start attaching the Y and Z carriage to the cross rails on the gantry. Okay, next step of this is we're going to take the other top plate, we're going to set this guy in place on top. We're then going to go ahead and affix him with 10 more 1/2-inch 1/4 bolts to the remaining 10 blocks that have already been pre-assembled in this main bearing structure. Once again, you might have to loosen these side 1020s in order to go ahead and get them lined up properly and to get the cover plate in place. And we'll get back to you when we're done with that step. Now that we have the top cover plate installed, we now have a sliding gantry back and forth on the main table assembly that is ready to go. The next step is to go and install the Z and Y carriage with the main rails that hold that in place and provide the rest of the motion of the machine.